Welcome to Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show, brought to you by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center, where your health is their mission. As you know, we've got a new guest every week. We've got two guests this week, husband and wife team. It's Corey and Cassondra Vaughan, right, with something called Ethnos 360. So there's this pretty substantial organization right here in the lake area that a lot of people don't know is here, Ethnos 360. What is Ethnos 360?
Yeah, Ethnos 360 is a church planting organization, and we plant churches in unreached people groups all around the world. And so an unreached people group is a group of people that have no access to God's Word, no Bible, and a lot of times nobody to tell them who God is because they don't know their language or culture.
Right.
And so, yeah, we seek to plant churches with those people and move on into maturity with those churches.
So you're basically like a missionary, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
Cool, all right. So what do you guys do at Ethnos? I'm guessing you both work there, is that right? Your husband-wife team thing?
Yeah, so we're based at the training center that's just right outside of Camdenton, and you can tell about your role.
Yeah, so the headquarters for Ethnos 360 is in Sanford, Florida.
Okay.
But our training center here is just outside of Camdenton.
Okay.
And so we've spent the last 2 years there at the training center, where we equip missionaries in all the practical skills and knowledge necessary to have a thriving cross-cultural ministry.
Okay. So you kind of prep them to go out in the mission field then. Okay.
That's right.
That would be an interesting job because I'm guessing there's a whole lot to prepare them for there.
Yes.
And I was looking over your bios and everything. I mean, you guys are big sports fans too, right? So, I mean, a lot of times people think of missionary as, you know, you live up there on the hill in a cave and you never come out. But you're normal. You like sports and everything else, except for you like K-State. What? How in the world did that happen?
Wildcats,
right?
through and through.
Yep.
So you both grew up in Kansas then,
Yes.
right?
Yep, grew up in Kansas. Both grew up on a ranch, farm and ranch in Kansas, and we went to Kansas State University for 4 years, got our degree, and that's where we met. So we are through and through Wildcat fans, but just really enjoy sports and just that, you know, growing up, we both participated in lots of sports growing up.
Well, and I guess you wanted to be like a pro basketball player, right?
Yep.
You were headed to the WNBA or something.
She still holds records in the state of Kansas.
Really?
For high school. Yeah, she was very good.
What kind of records? Like scoring records?
Oh, well, I was a point guard, so mostly assists.
Okay.
But I always wanted to be a WNBA player growing up. I am the youngest of 7. My 2 older sisters were extremely good basketball players. So whenever people would ask me what I wanted to be, if I was going to be as good as my sisters, I would say better. And I'm going to be a professional basketball player.
Right.
So
yeah,
Jackie Stiles actually grew up in a small town in Kansas.
Really?
My sisters played against her. I know she's well known here in Missouri for playing it. So.
Well, and when you're the 7th, I mean, you got to be tough to survive all the older siblings. And
and the 2 just above me were boys, and they didn't let me by easy.
She's tough.
They beat you up a little bit, absolutely. Well, and you were a big sports guy too, right? Did you have a favorite sport?
Yeah, football.
Yeah.
And baseball.
Well, with your physique, you must have been like a running back or something, maybe?
Slot receiver.
Yeah, okay.
Strong safety on defense.
So you were going to be the next, who was the great receiver with the Patriots, the small guy?
Julian Edelman.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to be the next Julian Edelman there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I miss it, for sure.
You had a big accident, though, that I think almost killed you, right? What happened there?
Yeah, so the last day of my sophomore year of high school, actually, one of my friends and I had went out on a four-wheeler, but it's was a racing four-wheeler, not like a farm-type four-wheeler.
Right.
So we were out popping wheelies on a dirt road, and it had a wheelie bar on the back of the four-wheeler, but we had I had just punched the gas too hard and not calculated for the weight right at that specific one that we were, whatever. So then we tipped back to the wheelie bar caught us, but I think that my friend hit the brakes and it turned us sideways. We just hit the sand and the brakes just wrong. And the handlebar actually punctured my leg. It severed my femoral vein and nicked my femoral artery. So, then I got up from that, and I didn't really know what happened. Just adrenaline takes over and your body goes into shock.
Yeah.
But my friend was like just white as a sheet and was just like, Cassondra, look at your leg. And I knew better than to look. I just felt, and all of a sudden just blood just was everywhere because the artery that I nicked. And so we got back on the four-wheeler, tried to get into town, didn't make it. Like, obviously sitting up, I had passed out. And anyways, this whole thing got flown flight for life, and the doctor's like, it is, medically unexplainable that I'm here sitting talking to you
You're
today.
a miracle.
So, yeah.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah.
How about that? So God
amazing.
must have had a purpose for you. I'm guessing that's kind of the way maybe you thought that. If you survived that, and he had a reason for you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
sure.
we're getting to know Corey and Cassondra Vaughan, Ethnos 360. They're missionaries. So we'll find out more about what they do and what their story is and everything when we come back on the COMC Community Spotlight Show. At COMC, your health is our mission. Central Ozarks Medical Center offers 3 OBGYNs at the Osage Beach Clinic and 2 pediatricians with same-day appointments available. At COMC, our doors are open to everyone with 5 primary care locations conveniently located across the Ozarks. COMC for the best medical, dental, and behavioral health care. Get more info on how COMC can help you at centralozarks.org. COMC, where your health is our mission. If it's happening at the lake, it's happening on Lake TV. From the polar plunge to festivals, parades, aquapalooza, and boat shows, Lake TV has it all. Even the granddaddy of them all, the shootouts. If you're looking for places to party, things to do, or even a new home to move into, you've gotta love Lake TV. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all. We think it's hot stuff when things cool down. We spring into action when things start warming up. Of course, summer is one big, huge shootout on Lake TV. And we fall in love all over again when autumn rolls around. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all. Welcome back to the COMC Community Spotlight Show. We are talking with Corey and Cassondra Vaughan, missionaries at Ethnos 360, right here in our backyard in Roach, Missouri, right? Mm-hmm. So, and you guys train or help train missionaries to go out into the field.
That's right.
So here you are, you're from Kansas, you graduate K-State, both of you. You go back to the family farm, I think, and there you are, you're living the dream, you're working on the farm, and then all of a sudden you decide to be missionaries. How do you take that jump from living the dream on the family farm to uprooting everything and becoming missionaries?
Yeah, so started in college. We were a part of a campus ministry in college where we were exposed to God's heart for the nations and people who have no access to hear, even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And so that broke our hearts. You know, we were really burdened with that reality. And at the time, we knew what we wanted to do with our lives, and we had that plan. So we really suppressed that, that part in that time of our lives. We knew that was what we wanted to be a part of, the Great Commission somehow. But we really sought to live our life first, and then invite that in somehow, you know, with how it would fit with our lives, right? But after we got married in 2014, we went back, and just this burden for the unreached people who have no access to hear, and it just weighed heavy on our hearts, and it just continued to grow more and more. That burden got stronger. There'd be some nights where we just had trouble even sleeping. It was just so heavy. And so we knew that God was moving us in this direction to at least consider going ourselves.
Right.
And so at that time, we got connected with a rep from Ethnos 360 who lived in the area, and we were came actually to a visit here at the training center.
Yeah.
And we were sold at that point with the amount of training and preparation that Ethnos 360 provides for you before you go to the field. And we knew that we needed that. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, so we wanted thorough, adequate training.
Sure.
And especially if we're going to take our kids overseas someday, like we wanted that for our family. And so we took a step of faith, trusted the Lord with it, and fall of 2016, we moved up to the Bible school. That was the first step of the training program.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent 2 years up there studying God's Word from Genesis to Revelation, roughly 2,000 hours in God's Word, and
Wow.
just digging deep into each book of the Bible there. And it was an incredible time, just really getting a big picture understanding of God's Word and just the big overarching narrative and understanding that as one story. And so that really was foundational for us in our ministry moving forward, to have a good, solid understanding of God's Word.
Sure.
And then
Without that, that's pretty dangerous, right?
Right, that's right. And if we're going to plant a church, if we're going to teach people God's Word, and we got to know it well ourselves.
Sure.
And so in 2018, we graduated from the Bible school, and then the next step of training was here in Missouri, in Roach. And this is another 2 years of training. And so 2018 we started and graduated in 2020. And that was just an amazing time where we learned more of the practical skills of what it's going to take. Like, where would you even start?
Right.
You know, how would you start planning a church? What does it even look like? What does that mean? What is the definition of a church even? So we had to learn all these things. And then at the end of that time, 2020, we were prepared and felt ready to be able to go and do this ourselves.
Yeah.
But
that's about the time of COVID, right?
Absolutely.
Did that affect that decision?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so we were actually wanting to be church planners overseas in the Philippines. And then with COVID, they were one of the most locked down countries in the world.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get into the Philippines. And so that kind of changed our route back to joining staff here at the training center. Oh. So yeah, that's how we got here.
So it wasn't your first choice to actually be here training missionaries. Your first thought was to be out there.
Right. It was really cool to see how the Lord directed us in that time, because we were set on going overseas. We just trained and we're preparing for that, but we couldn't go, couldn't get a plane ticket, couldn't get a visa at the time. So there was a need at the training center, and we were able to join that for a time being, and then fill a role that was a critical role that needed to be filled. And the Lord just reaffirmed to us throughout these last couple of years that this is where He's got us here.
Absolutely. From keeping you alive to keeping you here. So we're down to just our last minute here. Did your folks or your family think you were crazy when you up and leave the family farm and you go off to become missionaries?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you had to kind of fight that a little bit.
Right. We have very supportive parents, but it was hard at first.
I'm sure.
Because this is what we were planning to do for a long time,
Yeah.
growing up, all through college. But the Lord's very gracious to them, and He's really helped them understand more of the big picture of what it looks like, and to be a part of this is.
So they're fully on board now.
Yeah.
They're like,
they're on
go
board.
get them, kids.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, that's good. So Ethnos 360, right here in our backyard. A lot of people have never heard about it. Where can people get more information, learn more about Ethnos 360?
Yeah, so you can go to ethnos360.org.
Okay.
And you can navigate to our training center from there. Or you can send an email to Corey_Vaughan at ntm.org.
Okay.
And you can reach me at 316-213-5484.
You actually answer your phone?
Sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes you're out of the country.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Okay, so there you go. It's Corey, Cassondra, Vaughan, Ethnos 360. Go look them up. Thank you for joining us for Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show.